Good evening, my fellow troglodytes, Neanderthals, you hairy knuckle dragon apes, cavemen, chicken littles, and boys crying wolf, everybody else in the red pill manosphere, and to all the good faithful family. Welcome to the Good Faith Podcast, where we maneuver around toxic debauchery, attempting to find harmony with our fellow man and dissect society's caustic degeneracy. If it's a pre-apocalyptic dystopia that you seek, then look no further, because here it is. The great American empire is going to hell in a handbasket, and quickly, I might add. I'm your host, Ninjah Bullock. I understand that you could have been a million other places, and that time's the most precious commodity any of us have. So from the bottom of my heart, I'd like to share my gratitude with you all. Viewer and listener discretion is advised. Due to the sensitive nature of some of our topics, we hope you will shield youngins from some of the vulgarity that may be spewed here. We got whoredom for your boredom. We're going to talk about smut, so please keep the kids at bay. Oh, where's my... I don't know where my smut thing is.
She wants to fuck me. She wants my dick in or around her mouth.
Logical study.
It's smut, Bill.
It must be noted that the views expressed by the panel are not necessarily the views of the Good Faith Podcast. We are no fiduciary. We assume no culpability of investment performance as a result of following our financial advice. Our simple aim is to entertain you and to inform you. Anybody living in the greater Philadelphia area interested in making an appearance on our show can reach me in a DM on Facebook or Instagram at Christopher Bulick. See the Patreon link in the description if you'd like to make a campaign contribution to facilitate our meteoric rise.
Money, please.
Oh, no, there's no money.
Oh, my bad. No problem.
I ain't trying to screw you. You ain't giving me no money.
In all seriousness, times are tough. Any proceeds we receive will be going towards avoiding eviction, keeping the lights on, medicating Clark with all of his health concerns, and feeding our gracious guests. Once again, if you feel you've been given value by us, it takes a little extra effort to like and subscribe. This is your notification. The Good Faith Podcast is now available not only on YouTube, but Twitch, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Patreon, Amazon Music, Samsung Podcasts, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, Pandora, and RSS.com. We'll keep pushing out these episodes so long as our following stays growing. And the path to notoriety will be for our listeners to spread the good word of the pod. If you have somebody in mind who would agree with our content, if they may be informed, if they want to ridicule us, send a link to your friends and family. All publicity is good publicity. Our objective is to have a balance between the red side and the blue side of the political spectrum. So if you have somebody in mind who enjoys listening to podcasts, please spread our channel. And guys, we're fully monetized now. We got a store up. I'm working on designing apparel and merchandise. So eventually, right now, all we have is one single graphic. It's the high stakes graphic. But if you want a T-shirt, a mug, a hoodie with the high stakes logo on it, feel free to check out our store. And why not gift a loved one or yourself a membership to the Good Faith Podcast? If you want to give the gift that keeps on giving, consider a membership to the Good Faith Podcast, where your fearless and thankless leader, me, is working tirelessly to return you guys value through exclusive content, sound advice, unique custom emojis, listening and responding to all of your constructive and corrective feedback. Now, the fragrance of the week is Deed White King D, and it's like a it's like a cheaper alternative to the Creed Pure White fragrance. It's got top notes of bitter grapefruit, lemon, bergamot, heart notes of pear, neroli, and galbanum, base notes of white musk, ambergris, and rice powder. And the overall vibe is like a scent characterized as rich, scintillating fragrance of glittering freshness. Many users describe it as fresh linen scent that's sophisticated and not too overpowering. And I do get a very fresh herbal smell from it. It's considered ideal for daytime wear, particularly in the warmer months, which we're about to get. The candle of the week is Crystal Flora Bergamot and Lily of the Valley. And if you guys watched Breaking Bad, which is my favorite show, Lily of the Valley is that flower that Walt ground up and put into Brock's. He gave it to Brock in order to convince Jesse that Brock was poisoned. But it's a very good scent. So I got that going, guys. Shirt of the week, Strawbridge and Company. Hat of the week, Anaheim Angels. Slacks of the week, I'm just wearing some American Eagle brown khakis, and shoes of the week are just some brown leather Uggs. Guys, you know what I say? I say look good, smell good, play good, and when you play good, they pay good. You don't have to spend $1 million to look like $1 million. And our movie of the week is 50 Shades of Grey, because we're going to be talking with our guest today about this BDSM lifestyle, this kink lifestyle, this alternative dating lifestyle, and I think that movie kind of took that certain lifestyle and brought it from the fringe to the mainstream. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But without further ado, why don't I bring on my guest, Gallo? What's up? Oh, shit. Wait a sec.
My bad. That was me.
Okay.
I thought I tapped myself off. How you doing, brother? It has been a long time, hasn't it?
Yeah. So, how have you been, and where are you at in life right now?
Oh man, I've been fantastic. Winter's been chill. I've had a nice little vacation since my last job. I got what do you call it? Let go, but I mean it was planned. It was one of those planned shutdowns. So I had plenty of time to save up and took my time finding work. And now ready back into it. I actually started my first week of orientation this week, so it's been pretty chill. I'm out here in Reno, Nevada, and otherwise just living life, enjoying what I got, and enjoying every day as it comes.
All right. So, it sounds like I have an echo. Hopefully not. I just got back from your great Silver State, and this is my first time ever being there. Is it what's your experience with living in Nevada?
So Nevada is not too bad. Up in northern Nevada, so it's basically 3 parts to the state. It's northern Nevada, Vegas, and then the rest of the state. When people say northern Nevada, they're speaking specifically of Reno, Tahoe, Carson.
Okay.
And then everything else is the rest. It's just kind of like the Wild West. It's crazy out there. And so northern Nevada is pretty chill. It's kind of Cali-ish, but at the same time Vegas-ish, but on a smaller scale. So it's kind of a weird little town. It's great. I love everything about it except the lack of food variety.
Okay. Is it a lot of Mexican food?
There is. It's mostly Cali-Mex. There's not really that many authentic Mexican food like from Mexico where there's no yellow cheese in sight. There's only like 2 places that are pretty good here in town.
Okay.
But for other variety, I mean, you're not going to find Ethiopian, Czech, Austrian. You're going to find maybe a German place, a German fusion, tons of different types of Asian. But it's one of those towns that have a lot of Chinese, Vietnamese, and Japanese, or Chinese, pho, and something else. Like it's usually 2 in 1s at least.
Okay. And so a little bit of your biographical background. You were born in, was it Houston?
Correct.
Houston, and then you moved to San Antonio?
Yeah, I was there for a couple of years. I left Houston for San Antonio in 2013. Tesla lured me out here back in 2017, and I've been here since. And kind of been debating on leaving. Like, really the only thing that's lacking here is food variety. So what I usually do is I'll fly back home to Houston, or I'll go over to San Francisco or Vegas or somewhere else that's got a bigger city and more culture and food diversity, and just go and get my fat boy
on. Okay. And so were you, and you were and so you were married at one point, right?
2 different times, yeah.
2 different times.
My first wife, who got divorced, she got tired of my cheating all the time, and my second wife, she passed away 9 years ago now.
Yeah, I was watching your episode last night. Where I think you mentioned that you were together like 4 years and 11 days or something like that. I thought it was very like romantic how you knew the exact number of days that you were like married to her.
Yeah, thank you. It was one of those weird relationships where I feel like we did more in the 4 years than most couples do in 20. Just because we were always doing something every night of the week when we met. We met through roller derby. We were always together doing stuff. It wasn't just like we had to be at each other's hips. We weren't one of those that couldn't be away from each other. We just happened to really enjoy each other's company. And outside of roller derby,
@MariamJ209Y said, "Happy Friday, Red Heart."
Yo, what's up, Kate? Thank you.
Hi, Kate. And so, yeah, the 4 years that we were together, if it wasn't roller derby, we were going to museum openings, art galas, excuse me, friends' divorce parties, birthday parties, housewarming, their kids' birthdays. I mean, we're always doing something every night of the week, pretty much. And eventually, we would show up to a party, and we ended up becoming that relationship goals couple that everybody wanted to be or hook up with. And we didn't have to stay at each other's arm or, be holding each other's hand the whole time. We would just disappear, orbit each other, and then at a certain point at the end of the night, when the night was over, we'd take off, go home, or we'd go someplace to grab something to eat, and then head home. So for 4 years and 11 days, we did something 7 nights a week, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end, probably right before I came over to Tesla, she finally, we kind of like starting to feel our age. So we started once a month, we would just stay in on a Saturday night, and then Sunday we would have tabletop games. We'd play D&D with some friends, and then after that we'd have a potluck and invite some friends over, and I'd either DJ for them, we'd do karaoke, or just have a playlist playing and dancing and hanging around a bonfire.
And so you said there was a little bit of like infidelity in your first marriage. Was there?
First one, a lot.
Okay, and never any on her end.
Towards the end, she kind of did, because she got tired of my bullshit. And at that point, I just didn't care anymore. It was me being young and dumb and having a very unhealthy view of women and how I treated them, mostly from my background as being an intercourse addict, but then also part of having the kink community and kink background that I have. So I just didn't care. At that point, towards the last year and a half with my first wife, she was just a walking pocket pussy for me.
And so that sounds kind of nice. Would you say that like, and did your like stint in recovery for like the Fellowship of Sex Addicts Anonymous, did that come in between your two marriages?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't even realize I was an intercourse addict until after my first marriage. I just thought I was being a man. That's what men do, is sleep with as many women as possible.
Okay. Can you describe your outlook on sex in the before time, the transformation that you went with, like your mentality shift, and then how your relationship to sex appeared and was reflected in like afterwards?
Right. So before, my view was just, hey, I'm a man, and sex, I should have it as often as I want, whenever I want, and I'm going to get it. And then that didn't come very easily. At first, it was a lot of work because I didn't realize a lot of things about myself. In the early days of the internet, back in the late 90s, I'd gotten on AOL, and that was because my fiance had allegedly cheated on me. That's a whole little soap opera. I found out about 15 years after that fact that she was really hooked on drugs, and she knew that I had a disdain for drug users. And so she thought that by saying that she was cheating on me, I would forgive her and we would stay together. And of course, no respectable man, or no man with any self-respect or self-worth, would accept that. So I decided, you know what, I'm going to cheat on her. And originally I was going to cheat on her with 10 women and just throw it in her face. And 10 women came and went. That was too easy. So then I decided on 100. And then after that, it just kind of became its own game. So at first, it was just, how soon can I hook up with women? How quickly can I get to that number? And eventually, it was just so easy with the internet in the early days. It's so different now compared to back then, because back then people were excited to meet people off the internet. It wasn't just it was a novelty. It was a brand new thing. People were excited, were surprised that you could meet someone across the world and have a conversation with them. And it was limited time too. It isn't like you can just turn on your phone and just message anyone or find someone. You had to log on, you had to find forums, you had to find a community, you had to be a part of that community. And it was a timed event, because in the early days, you were paying per minute to be online. Later on, it became, unlimited minutes or unlimited time to be on. But, certain hours of the day, be super congested to try to log on. So building that community and talking to people, eventually, yeah, let's meet, let's go to Denny's, let's have a Starbucks and meet this friend online. And you were based on what you were saying, because uploading pictures was impossible. You had to take an actual picture, go get it scanned at a Kinko's, and upload it to your computer. Internet was super slow, so you couldn't get a high resolution picture, or it would take forever to load and people wouldn't bother looking at it. So you really had to be charismatic via text. And so talking to women, I was juggling multiple women a day, multiple women per week. And my body count got super easy. I treated women as disposable. If a woman got mad because I wasn't being loyal or faithful to her, or I was too busy to see her because I was seeing someone else, so what? I got two more in line waiting to take your spot. So that was my mentality, is just women were disposable. Women were just usable. And if they don't want to do what I wanted in the bedroom, I could find someone else that would. And so that was kind of like my mentality up until, even with my wife, my first wife. And after that, after the divorce, went through Celebrate Recovery, realized I had an issue, realized that it's unhealthy to treat women that way, unhealthy to treat them as objects outside of the bedroom. And through recovery, realized I had a lot of personal issues that I wasn't dealing with myself or willing to admit, which was essentially just not knowing how to deal and handle with my emotions. So instead of processing them, I would just use sex or the oxytocin release to just feel better and mask the pain, mask the hurt, mask the sadness, mask all these other feelings that I didn't know how to express or didn't want to feel. And since then, now sex, I use it more for as a part of a relationship, but I don't just have sex with any woman I meet just because, you know, they're attractive. I build a relationship with them and see if I want to keep them as part of my rotation, my harem, my group of submissives that I continue to see for years on end, versus trying to have a singular relationship with one woman, because of my bad past with kink and with intercourse addiction. One woman's not going to fulfill all the things that I want. You know, it's going to be a random Asian that I want to piss the paint off her face, as dressed up as a clown and squeaking like a dolphin.
So,
and you know, I'm not going to find that everywhere.
I always hear you mention this clown thing. That like that's real for you. You really are sexually aroused to a clown.
No, it's just trying to do something is out there for that most people aren't aware of, or also something that I could say that kind of be consistent and, you know, most people can relate to, instead of having to explain different types of kinks or different types of sub scenes.
So you're just being hyperbolic, and you don't actually have like a clown kink.
No.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, I wouldn't kick a clown out of bed, but you know, it's just kind of one of those things. Is like, you know, what's the most outlandish thing you can think of, and that was something that most people can relate to, versus fisting or golden showers or anything else that's out there that most people aren't even aware of that I would have to explain.
Uh-huh. Okay, so and so you undergo this like 12, like is SAA a 12-step program, I assume?
I believe so. I went through Celebrate Recovery. I'd gone to SAA, and just it wasn't a fit for me when I tried to get help. Originally, it was through therapists. That didn't work for me. Went back to Celebrate Recovery, and then once I finished my steps through Celebrate Recovery, then I was a little more open to working with therapists. And I'll stop by SAA every now and again, but actually AA works better for me, just because they're more easy to find and access. But SAA, at least in Reno, there's not any in-person meetings.
So I actually did like a extremely brief stint in SLA, which is like Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous, Sex and Love Anonymous or whatever. And I got like a weird vibe from the guys in it. Like it seemed like it was a lot of like creeps and you know, like guys that seemed like sex offenders. And I was kind of like maybe nefariously hoping that I would like run into to a few of these like women freaks in the fellowship, and then we could like spark up something or whatever. But yeah, like I don't know how much of this I'll disclose, but basically there was like a time where I was getting a thrill. This is so bad. I was getting a thrill of just like photographing my penis and just sending it to like random girls on the internet. And I don't know if any of you have any experience with this. They're not too like receptive of this. So like I actually like a lot of the time they would like start to like talk about like blackmailing me and stuff like that, and then that was like, I don't know, it gave me like a adrenaline rush from being in that type of like scenario. But like it manifested itself in like a very unhealthy way. And so, you know, luckily I've since then begun like living more wholesome of a lifestyle. and I have stopped doing all of that. If anyone's interested, but yeah, like I'm just not sure about the SLA community and how like good it is at getting some of these guys to like stop with their like sexual deviance and behaviors that are like self-destructive.
Yeah, I wasn't been able to focus or stay into it early on, or even when I went. I had kind of similar vibe when I went there. It was more of, or my perception when I was going wasn't that these guys were trying to actually work on themselves or go through the steps or be better people. It was more of living up to the expectation of their sponsor. They weren't going there to, yeah, I need to go into a group and work the 12 steps. It was more of, hey, I found a sponsor and I know it's wrong and I shouldn't have sex and I shouldn't do this and I shouldn't do the other. And I really didn't want to disappoint you guys. And it was more of like they were trying to white knuckle their way through it, living up to an expectation rather than working on whatever their issues are, working the steps and, resolving them. And, there's different types of sex addiction. That's why I usually try to clarify that mine was intercourse addiction. Yours would be a bit of exhibitionism, or at least in your time that you were explaining earlier. Part of that thrill is exhibitionism. There's other men that when I was in Celebrate Recovery, which was the reason I didn't start in Celebrate, is that originally I went to help a friend out. Essentially, she was a people pleaser and couldn't help but say yes to whenever they asked her to help clean up. And so I went so that way when everything was over, I could, oh, hey, we got to go. We're going to go catch the 9:45 Deadpool or whatever movie was playing. Just an excuse to get her to leave because she couldn't have the fortitude herself to say, hey, I don't want to stay and help. I don't want to be the one here stuck till midnight doing this by myself. So I was just going there to kill time, and I would say, oh, yeah, I'm a porn addict. I jerked off to porn today, which for me, porn is just kind of not beneath me, but it's more of kind of like, why would I watch it when I can make my own? And anyways, so most of the guys in those classes were thinking, yeah, I went to this part of town and I was talking dirty to the streetwalkers and saying this, and their thrill was, essentially being able to talk dirty or objectify women that they normally wouldn't be able to in their day-to-day life. And so it's kind of, one of those exhibitionisms or exhibition addiction for them. Others, there was one guy that was gay and he was trying to like correct that because Christian belief that you don't do that, and so that was his struggle. But
Oh wow.
There's all kinds of things that people go through. But for me, the easiest one to deal with was Celebrate Recovery when I came back after dealing with therapists. But therapists as well as another modality to deal with any type of sex addiction.
So, can you tell me what your very first experience with sex is, and how do you think that it shaped you, like, moving forward?
First one. I'd gotten head in middle school. I think it was middle school. Yeah, it was middle school. Sorry. It was middle school that I wasn't sure. So I grew up on a dead-end street, and this is also back in the 80s, so slang wasn't common. Like, if you didn't have an older kid to teach you slang, there's no way to learn it. There's no, Urban Dictionary. There wasn't anything like that. Your Urban Dictionary was your friends' older brothers and sisters. But I lived on a dead-end street, and me and these two other kids were the oldest kids on our street. We were all born in 79. One was January, March or April, and July. And then all the other kids were 10 or 11 months younger than us. So anytime anything came up, it was like we just make up something because we didn't know what it was. We also didn't want to sound stupid, so we just make up whatever. So early on in 6th or 7th grade, a couple of girls had offered to give me head. I'm like, oh, no, I'm good. I'm cool, whatever. And so finally, a girl said, you want me to suck your dick? I was like, oh, that? Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I want that. Let's do that. So my first experience was with a girl, last name was Kraft. I forget the joke, something about like Kraft singles. But she apparently loved giving head. She was blowing just about almost any guy. And that was my first experience. And for that, I was like, oh shit, this is great because there's no way I can get her pregnant. And my mother had given me a scare of if I got a girl pregnant, I'm going to go raise that kid on my own. And so I was terrified. I knew I wanted to have sex with a girl once I realized what sex was. But at the same time, I was afraid of having sex because I'd hear all these horror stories of classmates that had sex, used a condom, and they got pregnant on the first time. Later, probably as an adult, I realized, no, they'd had sex a bunch of times, kept using condoms until the box ran out, and then stopped using condoms and eventually got pregnant. So anyways, That first encounter, I would say, affected me in the sense that seeing how oral sex happens and how that works, I realized, you know what? This was a thrill, a sense of power over the girl. And so that excited me, and that's kind of what made me very interested in BDSM once I realized what that was and was exposed to it.
Okay. And so what and so you and like basically your entire channel is geared at like uh at discovering and exploring like all of these different alternative like sexual fetishes, whether it be the girl that was like a professional cuddler or the guy that was like a full-time cuck and stuff like this. What do you think, in your personal estimation, is the most problematic kink for men to have and for women to have?
Well, correction is so it was more of exposing what is on the other side of kink. It was more of exposing or letting people know, hey, kinksters have better and healthier sex relationships and relationships in general because we always have open and honest communication before anything ever happens. We don't just jump into sex without knowing what's going to go on. Most vanillas or non-kinksters will usually just have sex, and if anything, during intercourse, they might say, "Oh yeah, baby, don't stop," or "harder, faster," or whatever. Basically, don't stop. Like that's the gist or the most conversation about sex anyone ever has. There's never conversation outside of sex. I was trying to explain to people like, hey, to have a healthy relationship, you need to have these conversations, even though they're uncomfortable. You need to let your partner know what you like, what you don't like, and what you won't do, and vice versa. But as far as your question for what is probably the most problematic kinks, it depends. I don't think the kinks themselves are problematic. I think it's more of how much it pervades in their life, how much that they let it lead their life and allow themselves to like have it be a driving force. So, for instance, for most kinks, I would say that kinksters, in a sense, whatever their fetish is usually more of a layman's way of dealing with it or some type of therapy to deal with it on their own without having to go to a therapist. And it's not the best way or the healthiest way to do or deal with their issues, but it is a healthy expression or in a way to express their sexual needs or desires or deal with whatever emotional trauma that they have. So the worst way for a kink to be is that that's their whole life, that's their whole identity, or that they ruin relationships work-wise, health-wise, family, friends, any type of relationship they have to fulfill that goal of that kink, which leads into sex addiction. Or is a part of sex addiction.
Do you think that like because like one that I could think of would be like a woman who has like a sexual assault kink? I could see that like being very like that could like manifest in very problematic ways where she like is always putting herself in danger of like actually being sexually assaulted.
Well, that falls into CNC, consensual non-consent, and that's actually surprisingly that's one of the two most common kinks that women have, at least in conversations that I've had with women. I've been a part of roller derby since 2010, and having conversations, or sorry, being a part of roller derby, refereeing games, being an announcer for games from San Antonio to Gulfport, Mississippi, from Dallas down to Corpus, and almost every little small town in between in all that area. Covers a lot. We're talking about, Shreveport, New Orleans, all small towns in between, anything off along I-10. And so after games, there'd be an after party, at an after party, and meet all these people, introduce each other, have conversations. And after the fourth or fifth time we see them, then we start talking about partners, relationships, blah, blah, blah. And women can be very dirty and vulgar when it comes to locker room talk. They are a lot more expressive about what they see and do. And so eventually, in confidence, either singular conversations on Facebook Messenger or whatever, they'll tell me, yeah, no, I heard you're into BDSM. I heard you're this. I heard you're that. What do you know about X, Y, or Z? And eventually, over time, probably about a year after meeting them, they'll share that either their favorite kink is, or something that they're interested in, is usually one of two things. The two most popular is CNC, consensual non-consent, which is kind of like that SA fantasy, or grape fantasy, and the other one is double penetration or being Eiffel Towered. But most of the time for that one, it's more of something that they want to watch as far as their porn history. It's not so much something that they actually want to do. So they will fantasize about that, but won't actually perform it. The CNC is the one that women most commonly have, and will actually try to convince a partner or a former partner to partake with them.
Okay. And and like, what do you think? What do you think could be a problematic kink for most men to have? Because I think I'm trying to think of what, like, I definitely think we can go down this whole rabbit hole of this like cuckoldry thing, but I think that cuckoldry is like infiltrating our society, and it's like really being like used to split up the nuclear family. I think a lot of like traditionally monogamous marriages are actually being like ruined by it, and that's good for the super mega elites, because if you can break up the household, then you divide people, you can make them much more like controllable. So I think that there is I do think there's like a concerted effort by like the porn industry to get us like married couples to be split up and divided in that way.
I don't think it's porn specifically that elites are controlling porn to get people to break up. I think it's just a factor more of the legal system that gets pushed by the women-led movement. I don't know. You're monetized, so I don't want to ruin it. But the movement where women generally say that they're for equal rights, but they're more pushing for rights for women.
Yeah.
And that's been an issue since like the 70s. And if that were really the case, then they would probably push more, or I would believe that if they really believe that, they would push for 50-50 custody versus alimony, child support, and primary custody. That aside, as far as porn goes, I think it's just detrimental to begin with, having it so easily accessible and not being behind a guarded wall or some type of level that you have to prove that you are 18, which is hurting young men, seeing this at a young age. And in a sense, I mean, it benefits me because women that are adults, 18 and up, 25 and up, whatever, that I meet in person, I'm able to have conversations with, because I grew up with pecking order, I grew up with bullying, I grew up with all sorts of things where I had to be exposed and talking to people in person. Whereas most men, I would say under 30, millennials, Gen Z, whatever that is, but most men today that are under 30 years old don't know pecking order. They don't know social hierarchies. Whenever they have conversations, they have that, they call it the millennial pause or Gen Z pause or whatever, but where they just don't know what to say and just kind of like freeze. Whereas when I have a conversation with a woman, they're just surprised that I can have a conversation. I'm not scared by them. I'm not enthralled by them. They treat them like a human being. And it makes it easy whenever what most people call day game is just me being personable, funny, and charming, but not intensely trying to hook up with them, just being a normal human being. And women just kind of want that or miss that, I guess. But back to the whole porn thing, the craziest part about it is people in general don't see it as an issue and don't think that, oh yeah, well, I can't get it up, but that's probably because I'm nervous, or try to blame it and try to defend porn in a sense rather than vilify it. I mean, we've gone so far away from slut shaming that it's normal for girls to decide, oh, you know what, I'm just going to do OnlyFans as soon as I, graduate high school.
Yeah, I think something like in the most recent survey, something like 10% of young girls between the ages of 18 and 26 or something like that are on OnlyFans. So like 1 in 10 of our young women is a sex worker, and that when that type of population is growing at an exponential rate, it's like going to lead to like moral and societal decay, I think. And it's and especially once you include simp culture and stuff like that, like it's very easy to just forego working on day game, working on night game, working on like your game, being like charismatic and relevant and attractive as a young male, when you can just bypass all of that and just pay a girl $100 or $500 and get her to sleep with you that way. It's gonna lead to like young men instead of working on themselves, doing the inner work, they're just gonna like pay for attention from women, and same with girls. Instead of girls learning how to cook and how to clean and how to be like domestic traditional wives, they're just gonna like be attracted to that like high stimulus environment and stuff like that. And I even personally, like, I only recently like cut myself off from pornography and stuff like that. Like I up until like New Year's, it's been my New Year's resolution to like stop watching porn, stop masturbating, because I was using it as like a comforter. If I would go out to a nightclub, oh, nothing works out, I'm just gonna go home. I know I can always just go home and like masturbate, and that'll be like my like comforter when all else fails. But now that I don't have that like plan B, it's kind of like I know now that the only way that I can like receive that sexual gratification is if I do it with another consenting adult woman. And also like it also it leads to desensitization. Like a lot of guys are like becoming so used to their like their tight grip that they like when they like finally find their way inside of like another human being, it doesn't live up to the sensation of their own hand.
At Godflow 2000 said, "What's up, y'all?"
What's up, Aaron? Aaron, glad to have you here. Let me know if I and Gallo sound like clear and crisp. I heard I was like echoing a little bit, but I like it. I forget what it's called. I think it's called like, I don't know, death grip or something like that. But like young men are desensitizing themselves because they're like cranking.
Rick Mallon said, "Sex robots will take over the world."
Yes, we could talk about that now. What do you think about sex robots?
Rick Mallon said, "His volume is low, your volume is high." At Godflow 2000 said, "Lil echo going on."
Little echo. Okay, thank you guys. What do you think about sex robots, and do you think that they're going to be a big part of the future?
I don't think they'll be a big part because of their cost. I think that it's going to be out of the realm of possibility for most men, because most men, to be able to afford a sex robot, I think I saw something on either CES or one of the convention shows that what they were showing was about like $5,000 just for a head that can talk. And of course, they probably just need the mouth. But if they want the full body and the whole experience, I'm guessing a sex robot is going to be on par with the whole brand new car, or maybe a subscription model. I don't know, but that's the only way I can see it would be able to reach the masses, if they had some type of subscription model. But for ruining society, I can see it having the potential to, but I don't see it being a problem until it's easily affordable, where the average burger flipper type of guy can't afford to be able to buy one or rent one, whatever it is. And I think the bigger issue is just the internet, period. The internet makes it too easy for social media to be able to talk trash and not get hit. And, people don't realize that there can be consequences for their words, for their actions in person. And, that comes to that whole society thing of men not learning about pecking order, or just people in general. And, being surprised in public whenever they say or do something stupid and end up, being on the floor, waking up in a hospital.
Do you think that it will lead to even more of like a like?
At TJ Johnson 3633 said, "Holy shit, Chris, you dumb man."
Yo, what's up, TJ? Thanks for chiming in. Do you think that this like because like there's already like a stratification between the haves and the have-nots in the sexual marketplace? Do you think that? Because I don't honestly I don't think that the like super high status really rich guys are going to be engaging with sex robots. So I almost don't think that like the burger flippers are going to be the target market for such technology. I don't really see like until they get the price point of like a sex bot down to where the average burger flipper can afford it, then it'll really be a problem probably.
Right. I can see maybe, I don't know. I can see richer, wealthier guys that are just very socially awkward and have absolutely no game. They can attract women. So the thing that I believe in is money and muscles help, but money and muscles can't keep a woman. You actually have to have game, charisma, riz, whatever you want to call it. You actually have to have a conversation and be able to have a conversation and have wit to keep a woman's attention. And so, you can be short, fat, bald, and ugly, but if you can charm a woman and make her laugh, the panties are going to fall off. Money and muscles help. Money and muscles can get her to turn her head and pay attention to you, but it's not going to get her to stay with you. And I've known at least 20-ish males that are worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, have, 6 figures in their bank account, but can't keep a woman's attention. They try to buy them drinks, they try to buy their attention, and are surprised that, they're spending all this money and, women aren't throwing themselves at them, or at the very least, paying attention or wanting to date them. And so I think that would be the target market for the first round of sex bots, to make it affordable for everybody else. The first adopters of like Teslas, it was for the Uber elites that had disposable money, but that's something that is a niche or a market for people to be able to show off and say, yeah, I'll have one of the first Teslas. To where now they're more affordable, and now we have the Model 3s, but it was at the expense or at the cost of those first early adopters. So kind of the same idea is that there needs to be first early adopters that can afford the sex robot to make it affordable for everybody else. Not made necessarily for the masses, but enough of the population for it to be a viable business model for those creators, for the makers of the sex bots.
Okay. I'm going to do a real quick advertisement, and then we'll get right back to this. Hey, good faith folks, I want to talk about something that we all face despite our government wasting tens of billions of dollars with vacant leering centers in Minneapolis, and that's the dreaded T word. Guys, the time is almost over. If you haven't gotten to this by now, like you're almost too late. But there is still time to do your taxes. Yeah, we rebelled against a tyrannical government imposing 3% taxes on our tea without representation. And I hear you. If we just collectivized against the tax man, refused to pay, then they would have no recourse. That's another conversation, though. Christ said to give to Caesar what is Caesar's and to give to God what is God's. So let me set you up with a competent professional and the only man that I handle to do my taxes. John Reuter with Charles Reuter Real Estate Insurance Income Tax. While appointing a tax accountant, it's best to go with a meticulous conservative. Liberals make for the best baristas, and conservatives make for the best accountants. John will keep you straight and not overlook even the most minute of details. Located at 9811 Academy Road in the far northeast of Philadelphia, I promise that you'll be going to a reasonable and effective tax professional. Could you take your taxes to H&R Block for like $300? Sure. Could you let your feminist wife who wears the pants do them on your behalf? Sure. But if you want a tax professional who's going to toe the line of legality and morality perfectly and get you the most that you can hope for, contact John Reuter at 215-632-6500. He's only available to Pennsylvania residents, but I'm warning you folks that leaving your tax return in anybody else's hands is gross malpractice of your hard-earned money. So, back to this stuff. Do you have an opinion on chubby chasers?
Sorry, I muted myself. I didn't want to laugh or say anything during your ad read. Um, I don't, because that lets they jump on the grenades for me. So I'm more than happy. Which now it's the torta chasers, the torta pounders. Um, so yeah, they can have them all they want. I'm not a fan. I prefer an hourglass figure. So yeah, I've got no opinion. I have no hatred for them. They can have them all. Take them all. Have a harem of them. Go for it.
Do you think that it is, because I personally think that it is I think it's like I think it's a mating strategy of like a path of least resistance, kind of like they learn from a young age that the like extremely beautiful women are maybe a little bit more challenging to secure. So I think that they choose to go for the like bigger girls because they're a little bit like easier and low maintenance.
Um, I would say there's a bell curve to that. Uh, I wouldn't say all of them. And to an earlier point, is not all women, or actually women are pretty easy to manage. It's just men don't know how to manage women. They try to put them on a pedestal. They try to treat them as though, what they have between their legs is special, and there's nothing special between their legs. And I can go on a whole conversation or tangent on that, but the point is,
At me Kelly melting in AC, said, fully agreed Chris.
Who is that? Oh, is that Mike? What's up, Mike?
so back to your point of like path of least resistance, I think that's true for a large portion of that bell curve, but there are outliers of guys that generally do like larger women. Just like there's guys that like tall Amazon women. They don't like fat women. They just like tall women that are taller than them. They like to be the short king. There's men that prefer whatever. Like every preference, I think every guy has their own particular preference. And there is a subset of men that chase these bigger women because, hey, they're most likely to say yes.
Mm-hmm.
Even though nowadays it's probably changing because they're a self-deluded belief that because they hooked up with a better looking guy, now all of those good looking guys are their level or on their level, which women don't seem to understand that who we sleep with and who we would date are two distinct levels. They're two distinct entities or two distinct groups. They're not a Venn diagram. Sometimes they overlap, but for the most part they don't. But because I have a friend from high school, he is in great shape to this day. He's almost 50. He was a senior when I was a freshman, and yeah, he's still in great shape to this day. He looks like he's in his 30s. He's built. He's very lean, but he still has a linebacker build. Like, can't think of it. Not a wrestler, because wrestlers are like super big. He's all natural. He's he's in very good shape, like better shape than anybody his age, any guy in their 20s. And so, but he prefers bigger women. That's just his preference. He's had that ever since high school. And it wasn't that he couldn't get girls. Back in high school, cheerleaders were throwing themselves at him. Other attractive women would throw themselves at him. But he would prefer bigger girls. And he was always self-conscious about it because the belief or the expectation was that because he was good looking, he should date a good looking woman. And so he would do that, but he was never happy. He preferred bigger girls. And now he's happily married with his wife. She's a larger girl. They've got 5 kids together, been happily married for 18, 19 years now. So, there's outliers. So you can't say with certainty that that's always the case, that, these guys that chase after the big girls are doing it because they don't have any other options.
Do you think that, because I think you began talking about it, but you kind of like veered off. What do you think about like simp culture and like with social media and the internet inflating like the egos of these girls?
At DNC Glam, said, thick women need loving too.
No, they need loving. Yeah, like they need loving, and I think that I think there is a big difference between the women that men will sleep with and the women that men will commit to, and I think it's like a lot of big women fall into one of those categories, but not the other one of those categories sometimes.
And I don't want to say it's just big women. It's just women as far as looks. And most people use that 1 to 10 scale. And we kind of chatted about this when I had you on my, well, you haven't been on my pod yet because it's not live, but eventually that episode will come out. But, you know, where my scale is just basically, it's binary with exemplars. No, not exemplars. Modifiers. So it's yes, no, hell yes, hell no. And that basically makes up the 4 points, but it's yes, yeah, I want to hook up with her. Hell yes, I would do almost anything to hook up with her. No is like, I'm not going to hook up with her, but if I'm in a dry spell or if no one's going to ever find out, I probably would. And hell no is I would never sleep with that woman. And so I think we try to justify that with a scale of 1 to 10, but most of the time people only use 4 or 5 to describe the attractiveness level of someone. And they'll just say, oh yeah, she's a 6, but, or she's a 7, but not my type, to be nice societally, but not actually mean that she's a 7. They're just saying a 7 to be nice because you don't want her friends to be mad at you for saying her friend is ugly when she really is, but the friends are going to try to boost her up and say, oh, Queen, you're a 10, you're beautiful, you're whatever. So I think that's part of the problem where girls gas each other up, which I think is fine. You know, you need cheerleaders, you need someone to help boost your ego, but you don't need someone to delude you and make you think you're retarded or crazy into believing you're something that you're absolutely not. You know, yes, I have the potential to become an astronaut. Maybe not now, but 20 years ago, my friends cheerleading me and telling me, yeah, you can be an astronaut, you can be whatever you want to be. Yeah, that probably could be true. Now, not so much. And if I believed my friends that, yeah, I can be an astronaut today, no, I can't. The physical, the mental, the psychological, all this other background stuff that I have to go through, I probably wouldn't do it. But if I actually believed it and tried to do it and waste my time to become an astronaut, that'd be an effort and futility. Whereas something that's more believable, yeah, you can be a club DJ. Yeah, actually, I probably could. I got a controller back there. I haven't dusted it off in a couple of years, but I probably could work in a club, work one of the casinos here in town, and build a reputation. But the point I'm getting at is women have this diluted sense of overinflated self-worth that is done by society, by other women, and by men by sleeping with them. So men sleeping with unattractive women just to get it in because they're in a dry spell is hurting the next guy and hurting other women because now they believe that that's what they deserve.
Do you have any any experience with, like, I've heard guys say that they want like a dirty whore to, like, sleep with, and then they want to, like, not like, and then they want, like, a wife who's, like, pure and clean, and they don't want to, like, do any of their, like, twisted sexual fantasies with her.
Yeah, that's the whole Madonna whore complex.
Mm-hmm.
I think usually that becomes an issue for a lot of men in long-term committed relationships once they have a child.
Mm-hmm.
Usually that switch turns on once they have a child with a woman. Then they're like, okay, now your job is to protect and take care of my kids, to raise them and to be a good mother to them. And good mothers aren't whores. And so that's like a mental block for most men. And I understand the concept, but personally it's like bedroom time is bedroom activities, and that's where the fun time begins and ends.
Yeah.
I can turn that off. I can distinguish between the two, and I can still look at a partner and say, okay, yeah, she's a good woman, but last night, not so much.
Yeah, I think it would actually be really unfortunate to be a woman in that type of dynamic where your husband and, like, the father of your child is like does not see you as a sexual being and, like, wants to, like, preserve this purity or whatever, you know, like, it would just be like, it would be really shitty. I guess there are a lot of men that like experience the same thing, whereas, like, you know, they're kind of, like, seen as, like, the father, the guy that takes out the trash and stuff like that. But when the women really want their, like, headboard broken in, they don't, like, think of that guy. They think of, you know, like Jason Momoa, or that, like, big, tall Tyrone guy that's, like, gonna scratch that itch, you know?
Oh yeah, no, I was that guy 20 years ago. I was that guy that was sleeping with men's wives. I didn't care. That was how bad my addiction was. I didn't care if it was my boss's wife. I didn't care if it was a friend's girlfriend. If she gave me the look, the signals, the green lights that I'd call them, that she was interested, that she was down. And back then I deluded myself thinking that, oh yeah, she wants me because I'm hot. In reality, or in hindsight, it's she was willing to sleep with whoever. It didn't matter who it was. I just happened to be the one that jumped on that grenade or decided, fuck it, might as well be me. So, and women would tell me the same thing, essentially that either they didn't find their husband attractive or their husband wouldn't do things to them that they wanted them to do. Ever since they had the kid, the husband hasn't touched them. And part of that would also be kind of like the baby weight, where she no longer has the same shape or figure that she did when they were first dating or before the baby. And so now being having that body dysmorphia, that she's not attractive as she used to be, and then me breaking headboards with her, she feels attractive again. She's willing to do things that she would never do with her husband and tell me, oh yeah, I never did X, Y, or Z with him. And, I love this, I love that, and would continue to see me. Eventually, because I was treating them like garbage, like a piece of trash all the time, not just in the bedroom, they got tired of that because they wanted to be seen and used as, or seen and treated as a human being afterwards. And before. And I just didn't care because, there was multiple women that I could just follow up with.
So, and you're from Texas, and correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't Texas have I forget what it's called, like castle doctrine, where if you are entering into like a married man's house without his permission and sleeping with his wife, doesn't he have like legal grounds to shoot you so long as it's not in the back?
I don't know the specifics on that. I do know that you can claim temporary insanity as long as you only shoot one time.
Okay.
So one shot, whatever happens after that, if you kill both with one shot, it's considered temporary insanity. But if you fire more than one time, then you're going to get the death penalty.
Okay.
But castle law just falls to where anything that happens in your house, at least in Texas, personal property, your vehicle, your living, your residence, and I forgot the other one. There's like 4 things that would constitute castle law, to where if you feel threatened, you can defend your property with lethal force whenever you feel threatened, as long as it's something that you have the reasonable expectation of safety, which would be your own home, your vehicle, rental property, and I forgot the other one. But,
maybe business. It would.
I think business probably.
That would make sense to me.
But again, it's just one of those things to where it's more of a self-defense thing, or someone breaking into your property or your business without your permission, or or trespassing your consent, something along those lines. I forget the exact details, but I never slept with women. Would always come to me because I had the internet, so have them come over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally, I know this is like probably like a very barbaric take, but I think that if some guy comes into your house and fucks your wife, like, you should have the legal right to be able to like pull him out of your wife and like kill him. Like, I don't think that's like too outlandish of a practice, like
you're fully believing that your wife isn't a whore and decided to cheat on you because you are a shitty husband, that you were unattractive, that you're a piece of shit, not worthy of her. And so now she's unattracted to you. So, or she could have lied to the guy. I have plenty of women that lied to me and tell me, oh yeah, no, we're separated, or we're getting a divorce, and then, find out, oh yeah, me and my husband got back together, or, I can't see anymore because I'm moving back in. I'm like, I really didn't care either way. But, I know I'm not the only guy that saw married women and fully believed that, or on face value, they would tell me, no, we're divorced, we're separated, which at the time I didn't care one way or another, just as long as I was getting it in. But there's plenty of times where women would say, oh yeah, no, I'm getting a divorce, we're separated, I'm living at my mom's, I'm living at my sister's, or I kicked them out whenever I'd go to her place and see pictures or whatever. So, I had reasonable expectations sometimes, probably 2 out of 10, somewhere in that range, that, okay, she's married, but I don't care because the husband's not around, or they're getting divorced, or they're not together. Other times, yeah, she's married, I don't care. They're in the same bedroom, in the same house, he's at work, she's coming over, whatever. It didn't really matter.
Yeah, I guess I guess thinking about it in that way, I probably like I try to have a code of conduct that that keeps me out of trouble where I'm not going I don't have any desire to sleep with a woman who's in like any type of relationship with another man. But like now that I think about it, like there have been times where, maybe a week or two after I slept with a woman, I see on social media like in a relationship, and when what probably happened was that woman was, telling me that she's single and telling that other guy that she was his she was his loyal woman and stuff like that. And so it's very simple for a woman, if she doesn't want you to like know, she can easily lie, and women are very gifted liars.
Especially by omission.
Yeah. So so the book of the week is 50 Shades of Grey, and are you familiar with 50 Shades of Grey?
A little bit. I tried to read it. A lot of Kinksters tried to, because we thought, oh shit, finding something in the mainstream about our community. And after a certain point, we just have a general distaste to it, and it's kind of hurt the community more than it's helped.
How
The mainstream thinks it's helped, but it's hurt it a lot.
how so?
So in the book, there's a scene to where the main character, Christian Grey, he ignores the woman's safe word and essentially gets away with pretty privilege, or rich privilege, depending how you look at it. But where, I forget the verbiage, but essentially that I don't care what you say, you're just so hot and I have to have you right now. And on the surface, most women saw that as, oh my God, that's so hot, that's so romantic, that he wants her so badly that he's just going to take her, keep her, have her. And, this is also the same group of women that are into those minotaurs and all this other crazy erotica that they're into. Train of thought. Oh, and so with that, that's just a clear violation. Like, safe words are there for a reason. Safe words are essentially stop, game over, we're done playing. I personally use safe words and caution words. And I don't have something specific or random like rhubarb, pineapple. I have safe words are anything the color red, apple, fire engine, stop sign, stop, red. Anything that's related to the color red, game over. Caution words is yellow. Anything yellow, pineapple, school bus, banana, yellow, whatever. That means, hey, this is too intense. Slow it down. Let's take it down a couple notches and start back up. And even with my experience with over 27 years now, 27, 28 years being in Kink, I've had a few instances here in the last 5 or 10 years that I've had a caution word used. I haven't had a safe word probably since 2001, 2002-ish, but still, even with a lot of experience, there's going to be times where I overstep a boundary, misread something, and cause pain or cause more pain than intended, and will have someone want to use a safe word, or sorry, a caution word. But with 50 Shades of Grey, with Christian skipping or ignoring her safe word, that created a whole subgenre of fiction to where now a lot of people write about purposely ignoring safe words. So that's the detriment to our community. On top of that, there's guys that come online and try to find submissives and will boast on FetLife or other forums where they're like, I'm a dom, I know what I'm doing, and I don't need to use safe words because I have all this experience. Or they'll say something along the lines of, if you were real submissive, you wouldn't have any safe words because you need to, learn how to push past your boundaries or your limits and learn what they really are.
So is there any behavior that you find personally is like too far? Like I know personally, I have no interest in like blood. Like I know there are some girls who like, I think it's called like bloodletting. Like I think that's too far. Is there any like anything like that you think is like just is too much?
Between consenting adults, no, you can do whatever you want as long as it's not murder. I'm not going to be interested in a lot of things, but as long as it's two or more consenting adults, they have their limits and boundaries and expectations mapped out or verbalized and shared amongst each other, safe words and caution, or at least safe words are in play. Do whatever you want. I don't care. You're consenting. You're doing what you want. You're doing what's going to make you feel good, whatever it is that you like. But I might watch it, but I might not want to play, or I just might not even watch it at all. I don't know. There is a lot out there that I'm not interested in, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with what two or more consenting adults do behind closed doors or in the privacy of their own home or someplace that they can expect some privacy.
Have you ever been propositioned by a woman with a request that you have no interest in and you refuse to do?
A lot. Scat. A long time ago, I wasn't into water sports. Now I'm coming around to it, or not as opposed, but water sports, blood play. Early on, I wasn't into air play, which is asphyxiation, just because I was like afraid I didn't know. I had to have a mentor work with me and kind of show me the proper way to restrict blood flow and restrict airflow. Blood flow is better to work with, holding the sides of the throat to stop blood flow to the brain. It'll cause them to pass out versus restricting the airflow. You can collapse not the voice box. You can collapse the throat and then now they die. Plus, as soon as you let go pressure from the side of the neck, the blood will start pumping back in. They'll wake back up or come to again. So that takes a lot of practice and whatever. But yeah, there's a lot of things that I've been asked to do or what I haven't interested in. And sometimes it'd be like, yeah, no, I'm absolutely not doing that. Or it'd be like, you know what? I'm kind of curious. I'll watch it, but I don't think I want to unless I get turned on by it or find something about it that's fun.
So I actually my actual kink is like, and the title of the episode is like the ultimate kink is vanilla. Like I'm so vanilla. Like I like lighting a few candles, turning the lights off at 10 o'clock, getting into our marital bed and doing missionary for a few minutes. But like, do you think that the BDSM lifestyle kind of is more attractive to people who are kind of like sexually disabled and like unable to have exciting sexual intercourse without the bells and the whistles and the whips and the chains and the like all these like crazy elaborate like sex dungeons? Like, do you think that they can like become like a crutch to someone with like a lacking sexual performance?
I don't know if it's a crutch for anyone that has, like you said, a lacking sexual performance. I think kink for a lot of people that fall into it usually have some type of sexual trauma, mental trauma, some type of trauma in their past and don't know how to deal with it, are either afraid of therapists or afraid of talking to someone about it. And the most efficient way to deal with it is some type of sex kink, some type of fetish. And a lot of times, and not all fetishes are sexually penetrative. Some can just be kinks in and of themselves, DDLG, daddy dom little girl, where it's not so much. Sometimes it can be sexual, but a lot of times it's being able to be in a different mental space, to be in a position for the woman or the little girl to be more childlike, to have a lack of responsibility, and for the male or mommy, depending on the position, or the identification of the person who's playing the dom, that they want to be a caregiver to, whether they are infertile and can't have children, or that they have some type of past where they no longer have access to their child and weren't able to raise them from when they were 5, whenever they were 12, whatever it was, that they had maybe some type of divorce and were unable to continue that relationship with their child because of a crazy ex. So there are multiple reasons for some type of kinks. So not all kinks are sexual in nature, but they can be. So I think it's a Band-Aid for a lot of people to deal with some type of trauma that they had in their past. And then the more they do it, the more devolved that they can become and desensitized to where normal sex, just like with people who are addicted to porn, can't perform because they're so used to the dopamine that they can't get it from just plain vanilla.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any experience with like furries?
Yeah, I know a few. I'm friends with 4 or 5, depends. Like, I haven't talked to 2, so it depends on how you define friends. But I know plenty of furries.
What is the? Because I think that like dressing up role play and like all the like pageantry and like stuff like that. I think that's like exciting, and I can see like a real appeal to it. What and also like we touched on it a little bit. A I think I'm a big like exhibitionist or voyeur. I forget what the difference is. Exhibitionist is you like to be watched, and voyeur is you like to watch. Is that how it works?
Yes.
Okay, then yeah, I think I'm definitely an exhibitionist. What's the most public place that you've ever gotten laid?
Oh man. Most public.
At DNC Glam said, ABDL is one of them.
ABDL. ABDL. Do you know what that is?
Never heard of it.
Danielle, can you elaborate on what ABDL is? You got to keep in mind, I'm just a vanilla little church boy. I don't know what these acronyms mean.
The most public would be a just off of a running trail with a girl, and she was local. So just off a running hiking trail in Houston. It's like northwest Houston. I can't picture it right now. It's been fucking 20 plus years ago, but she was a lot of fun. But she was public almost anywhere. We in a church, not during service, but like in a church parking lot, cemetery. Like with her, she was like probably one of the most exhibitionist girls, and she got me to work her way up from, dead of night in a cemetery to daytime. Eventually, like I said, to that hiking running trail at a park, like just a few feet off. Like you didn't even have to turn to look at us. You would see us in your periphery, us against a tree, just going at it. And a couple of people had to like shield their kids from us because they were running with them. But I was also 18, 19 at the time, so I really didn't give a shit. So
okay, and so I think that a lot of the BDSM lifestyle becomes particularly attractive to men because like they get like suckered into it kind of for like the bait and switch. Like they might be propositioned by a woman, hey, let's go swing, and like maybe their first party they're just like dripping in pussy and all that stuff, and then like I think what probably happens very quickly is the woman's attention from the opposite sex becomes like super robust, and then like the man quickly, like his attention from other women might like dry up really quickly, and so like all of a sudden he goes into this thinking that he's going to be this like bull, he's going to be just like having sex with all these women left and right, and then he quickly just becomes that like cuck. Do you think like have you experienced any of that in your time?
kind of, yeah. I got into BDSM because of swinging. But she wasn't a partner that had
At DNC Glam said, adult baby's diaper fetish is one of the trauma responses that you were just referring to.
This is how I met Danielle. We were talking about adult baby diaper fetishes. Adult baby diaper. What's the L for? Whatever. But
I guess, or diaper little. Yeah, I mean, I was aware of it. I just forgot the name of it. Just that is not something I'm into. But I mean,
At Joseph Fowler 3719 said, lover.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of fetishes. There's there's middles, and where they're not behaving as a 5-year-old, they're behaving more as a teenager. And so anything it's almost like Rule 34. Almost anything you can think of, there's a porn version of it or some type of kink related to it. As far as swinging and BDSM, so they're kind of two distinct things. So BDSM is its entire own thing. Swinging is a type of kink, but it's not in the realm of BDSM.
Mm-hmm.
And so swinging, a lot of times kind of comes from compersion, which is the opposite of jealousy, where you actually enjoy seeing your partner with other people or receiving pleasure, not necessarily that they're with another person. And then there's variations within swinging. There's a full swap, soft swap, public playing where you're having sex with your own partner in front of or near another partner and not swapping fully with other partners in front of each other, swapping with partners but going into your own room or different areas. So, there's different levels with the lifestyle, as they call it. And, I went just because it was fun, just because it was getting me threesomes with my unicorn. And I didn't like it originally because we were the youngest couple that were going there. She was 25, I was 19, 20. I forget the age I was. But I was young. And everyone else there, the next closest to our age was probably like in their early 30s to mid 30s. And then 40 on up. And unattractive, not really taking care of themselves. Some of the women were, but most of the guys did not. So, yeah, the women wanted to play with us, but when the husbands wanted to, my unicorn was like, okay, he's big enough that she can get over, ignore the fact that his dick is big enough that she can ignore the fact that he had a big old pot belly, or he's just completely ugly and got a small dick and she didn't want to bother with him. So it'd be a lot of that. And then one night we went to a swingers club. It happened to be a fetish night. And then that's when I was like, ooh, this I'm into. This I can get behind. And I fell into the whole Dom sub side of Kink. Had a mentor. Dom Jonathan taught me the ropes, told me the history that he had from it. His mentor or his Dom that taught him came from Folsom back in the days before Folsom was a thing, which eventually kind of became the whole... he started in part of the leather daddy things in the gay scene in the late 50s, or late 60s, sorry. And that's its own entity and thing going on. I forgot where they met, but Dom Jonathan started off in Houston, or finished off in Houston, and that's where I had my mentorship for a couple of years before I left for the Army. So that was eye-opening and kind of fun. But as far as, the different kinks and the things that go on, it can depend on the individual person, because there are women that enjoy seeing men with other women. They're usually called cuck queens.
Mm-hmm.
Also very rare.
Yeah, I would love to engage with some cuck queens, because that's right up my alley. So what's your most controversial take? It could be about sex, it could be about politics, it could be about society at large. What do you think is your most controversial take?
What women have between their legs has no special value whatsoever. Guys are dumb enough to think that there is.
Yeah. Orion Taraban talks about this and how sex has become so devalued in our time. Like a long time ago, you had to buy the cow to get the milk, but nowadays, you get the milk sometimes on a first date, sometimes in the first 15 minutes of meeting the cow, and it's kind of like, Joe, I am not in Vegas. I am just coming back from Vegas. Got my Vegas mug. I just spent the last 7 days in Las Vegas, and that is way too much time to spend in Las Vegas. I think it's a 2-day town, and I spent 7 days there, and I'm lucky to be alive, and I'm lucky to be back. But no, I'm no longer in Vegas.
I go 10 days at a time.
10 days in Vegas?
7 hours of sleep the whole time, yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was averaging anywhere from 2 to 4 hours of sleep a day, which is horrible, and I my sleep schedule is totally fucked. I'm now not getting enough sleep, and it's I need just a full week of a reset so I can get back to normal. But Orion Taravan talks about how it is kind of like a precious heirloom, like your grandfather's pocket watch. To women, their vagina and access to their vagina is this precious pocket watch, and it's worth tremendous value. But if you take it into a pawn shop, you will quickly realize that, you know, like to somebody who deals with the buying and selling of pocket watches, that it is not like quite as valuable as you might think it is, you know?
Well, I was not going so much as how hard it is to get. I was going more of how satisfying a vagina is. Like, my hot take is that men that know how to perform have way more value than any woman, period. And
Yeah.
think of it this way. Let's just think hypothetically. You've only slept with 10 women, hypothetically. With those 10 women, you've only had sex 10 times. So for a total of 100, out of that 100 times that you've had sex, how many did you not finish? How many times did you not climax? For most men, that answer is 5 or less. And usually it's because either they jerked off right before the date, they have some type of performance anxiety, not related to, it is ED, but not related to porn. It's more related to, oh my God, she's so hot. I never thought I'd have a chance to date her. And it's more of that type of anxiety. Or they have whiskey dick. They got too drunk when they met her at the bar and they can't get it up, or they can't keep it up and they can't perform. It's usually one of the top 3 reasons as to why they didn't finish that 5% of the time. On the other hand, women, if you ask the same question, most women only finish about 1/3 of the time. So only one, and it's not that 1/3 of the guys, or it's not that every guy gets them off 3 times out of 10, is that there's very few guys, 1 or 2, that can get them off every time, at least 10. And then there's a few other guys that get them off here and there. So it's not as often as they can climax. And it usually mostly comes from communication, lack of talking before, letting your partner know what you like, which was like the whole point of my podcast. But on top of that, for that lack of communication, guys not being able to read women, not understand their body, not understand what they're doing, and just going at it to please themselves, then women who don't finish, it's their own fault because they don't share that information. On the other hand, guys finish not because a woman's great, not because there's something special between their legs, but because if the woman's not attractive, or if something's going on in their head mentally, whatever's going on, she's not throwing it back the way he likes, he's not doing this, that, or the other, and he's not willing to communicate with her, a guy will just close his eyes and fantasize about that hot teacher, that friend's mom, that celebrity, that porn star, whatever it is. Guys will mentally get themselves to that place to be able to finish, whereas women need a lot more work. So what women have between their legs is not special. It's just a walking pocket pussy.
I'm gonna, for my viewers, gonna break down a little bit of advanced game. If you ever as a man fail to orgasm, what you are subcommunicating to that woman is like, your pussy was not good enough to like get me off. And I'm telling you, the next time that you get with a girl after she failed to get you off, get ready for the most like acrobatic, enthusiastic, lustful banging of your entire life, because like like we said, like much more than half of the times when a man sticks his penis into a vagina, it completes to an orgasm. So like if you fail, and I do believe it, I really do believe it's like it's your own responsibility to manage your own orgasm. But like if you fail to orgasm with a woman, her ego is going to take that hit, and she's going to like pull out all the stops the next time to ensure that you orgasm. And so like if you ever want to sacrifice, one early on the front end, like you can pretty much guarantee that on the back end she's going to be like a 10 out of 10 lover for you.
Yeah, but that's only going to take place if you get her to finish. Because if you don't,
Yeah.
she's not going to see you again. So you actually have to put in the work and make her climax, read her body, understand what's going on. And a lot of times what I would do is focus on her, making sure that she finishes a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then worry about myself. And sometimes I wouldn't finish. And you're right. That does happen to where, whatever, I go too hard, or I get too in my head, or I just kind of like lose interest or whatever. And even worse, or actually for like even super advanced game, I don't want to share it.
you got to now. You have to.
Look, I usually, when I deal with women, because of my background, because of being a dom, because of my intercourse addiction, I know I'm going to make a woman climax. Whenever we're going out, we're talking, when it's going to establish that we are going to have sex, I let her know, if you don't suck, I'm not going to fuck, period. So she gets on her knees, she does her thing. From my experience, from what I share with her about my past and what I can do, she's willing to take one for the team first before actually having sex. A lot of girls nowadays are like, oh no, I'm not going to do that unless we're in a relationship or unless I really know you or unless I know you're going to be good, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But there have been times where she starts to and she's not good at it, and I'll give her direction. No, do this, do that, perform this way. If they don't do what I tell them to, I'll just pick up my pants and just get ready to leave. Like, you know what? You're not even worth it. You're not even worth the time that
God damn.
down there. I'm getting out of here. And they will either get super excited, like, oh no, you were serious. Oh, my bad. I will do whatever you say. And they will behave and let me do whatever I want with them. Or they'll get upset and let me leave and then be upset that I actually did leave and then beg me to try to come back to see them again and then promise that they'll let me do whatever I want with them if I come back to see them. And that's not, for me, it's not a tactic, it's not a thing. It's just, I'm not going to waste my time and put in the effort of 45 minutes to an hour and a half of getting you off if you're not going to do what I want you to do. And so that just becomes the whole thing. So you have to be able to perform. You can't just try to pull this off and think a girl's going to do whatever you want. You actually have to put in the work to please a woman.
Yeah, and like we all talk about this like 70 cents on the dollar wage gap. What I think is actually like a bigger gap to care about is the orgasm gap. Like you said, I think maybe like one in 3 women that have sex is actually orgasming. That's in a relationship and outside of a relationship. And and there's like a lot of studies that show continuity with a man and a woman helps a woman like orgasmically, like a little bit of familiarity is going to help you navigate your woman in the bedroom. And so like what's happening is a lot more short-term like dating, short-term relationships are resulting. So women are becoming even less and less sexually fulfilled, less satisfied because they're just having a bunch of one-night stands with guys. And the likelihood of like a one-night stand just satisfying a woman is like is low, you know.
Yeah, I mean it varies because I mean there's various studies based on sex that are old, but at the same time, there's multiple ways to get a woman comfortable enough with you, and it usually comes down to like 4 hormones. It's going to be oxytocin, serotonin, dopamine, and vaso something. I can't think of it right now. Oxytocin is that instant hit of that love hormone, usually during climax. Both parties get it, male and female. Males get the bigger hit, and that's a lot of times that when our dumb asses say, "Oh my God, I love you," right after you bust, and then you get that post-nut clarity. Dopamine is going to be that fast, quick hit of happiness of what we do with social media, and that keeps us constantly coming back. And same with sex, it's a good feeling that you get really quickly. But then serotonin is that long-term happiness hormone, and vasopressin comes from safety and security, where a woman feels safe and secure around you, and then that is going to have her pair bond with you even more than anything else. So it depends on what your ultimate goals are. If you're trying to have a long-term healthy relationship, or if you're trying to have a long-term situationship, or if you just want a one-night stand, is how you manage those hormones in a woman. And you have to do that prior to sex. This all comes from foreplay. This all comes from having wit. This all comes from having charm. You're not going to get this overnight. You need to practice this. You need to learn to have communication and quit wasting time on Facebook and social media and porn, and actually read a book and learn body language and learn how to have conversations with people, not just women, but people in general, and be able to banter with someone and not get flustered or frustrated whenever you can't get your point across, because you need to learn how to communicate both in getting your point across and making sure that the person that's listening understands what you're saying, and making sure you understand what the person you're talking to says to you, and repeat it back to them. Like, hey, I understood that you said this. Is that what you meant? Or did you mean something else?
Yeah. So I want to return back to that in 1 second because we were talking about pair bonding. I'm just going to do one last advertisement, and then we're going to get back to it. Guys, the holidays are over. St. Patrick's Day's over, Easter's over, all these holidays are over. But I know there's a lot of you that got loved ones with April birthdays, May birthdays. We still have so much to look forward to. And, spring is upon us, summer's upon us. So if you're not sure what gift to give your burly, masculine, carnivorous hunk of a man, that's okay. Maybe you're dating a soy boy twink who always insists on turning the lights out, doing it missionary for 3 minutes and 45 seconds, finishing in your belly button and softly weeping in your arms. He sounds like a vanilla lover, and that's awesome. But if that's the case, maybe I can't help you. Maybe I can. But if the former is true, and your protector and your provider and your lover and your king has like a birthday coming up, or maybe it's your anniversary or whatever, treat him to Holler Boys jerky on any occasion. They got peach bourbon, honey habanero, southern barbecue, fuego, Chesapeake, and original flavors to light his taste buds ablaze. Located in Middletown, Delaware, Holler Boys is the only place I go for clean, lean beef jerky, and that doesn't have any trash ingredients like preservatives, nitric acids. Holler Boys caters to a paleo or a keto diet. Features Worcestershire sauce, brown sugar, apple juice, soy sauce, and more. It's a high-protein food, which is why I incorporate it in my weekly snacking routine. For flavor for days that'll make you holler and stretch your dollar, go to hollerboysjerky.com. That's holler with an A. hollerboysjerky.com. Where's my holler fucking... Oh, man. I always lose my...
You'd eat her ass.
Where's my holler one? Shit. Whatever. Scuffed. Oh, here we go. I need to fix my soundboard because it's like a mess right now. So, Gallo, we were talking about pair bonding. Are you one of those red pill believers that with a woman's increase in sexual partners, her ability to pair bond diminishes?
I don't like the term red pill, or I don't like to be described as a red pillar. I'd rather be a realist, and also more based on experience. But and not so much that I'm against red pill. I'm against to how it's been warped. So I take red pill as just the facts. Like this is the information from studies from X, Y, and Z, and this is generally speaking on a bell curve how men and women behave based off of studies. A lot of times that kind of gets warped into this is how men should treat women and this is how women need to behave. So, the whole red pill name ideology, I think can get misinterpreted or misused a lot. So I'm going to say as a realist, I do believe that the more men or more male partners a female has, it makes it less likely for her to be able to pair bond with a partner in the long run. However, a man can have enough boundaries, self-worth, charisma, machismo, masculinity that he can not force, not manipulate, can't think of the word, bring a woman into lining up with his boundaries and his rules. And, her realizing that losing him is worse than not having him, being, what they call it, alpha widowed. So she realizes that she can end up being alpha widowed. A porn star will behave. A stripper will behave if the man has enough masculinity to not make her, but make her believe that he is the best option she could possibly get. So she better behave the way he wants her to, or he's going to find someone else that will. So for most men, yes, if you find a woman that has 20 bodies and 5 bodies, I would probably go with 5 bodies or less. But a guy that has enough experience, that knows how to manage women, that knows how to have multiple women be in line with what he wants, he can have a porn star, he can have a stripper, he can have a woman with 100 bodies, it doesn't matter. She's going to behave the way he wants her to, or she'll be replaced.
And I personally identify as red pill, and I use it because I see you got the Matrix thing back behind you, and that's kind of like where the whole entire movement came from, was like a Matrix reference. So I think I do think it sometimes gets like misconstrued a little bit as this like incel counter subculture or whatever, but I think ultimately the red pill movement is a good one, so long as it's not steeped with misogyny and hatred for women.
Yeah, and I don't even think that most red pillars have a hatred towards women. I think women don't like being told what they do. Women don't like um, having to look into the mirror, and then they call it misogyny because that's the only thing they can think of, and they think it's a bad word. And if a woman labels a man as a misogynist, then he's got to defend himself, and then now she can do whatever she wants because that's the way she wants it, and that's how things should be because that makes her happy. Um, and I found that some women that have that belief, feminists, I don't know how to say it to not get you demonetized, but women who believe in equality. I have had some that have been in my rotation that love being treated or put in a traditional gender role when she's with me. That she loves that she doesn't have to think, that she doesn't have to do anything other than whatever I ask her or tell her to, and that makes her life easier. And it takes away the stress that she has that she carries on in her life, because usually in the experiences that I've had, those women usually have some type of type A personality or type A job to where they have to be competitive with other men.
Mm-hmm.
And so being able to tell her, make her turn off so that she's not competing with me at home or at her home, and that she can be more soft, more herself, and not have to be tightly wound up and bound up. And I think that's also a form of kink, to where people do something to turn off the stress of their everyday life. And so, again, kink can be beneficial to people for their relationships, for their own personal traumas, if they don't want to deal with therapists. But ultimately, I really do think everyone would benefit from having some type of therapist conversation or working with a therapist, as long as they follow the Adler method and not Jung or Freudian. If you find a therapist that follows Adler, you'll be a whole lot better off than going with Jung or Freudian.
Interesting, because I do actually, I think that like Freud gets a bad rap sometimes. Like I think ultimately his whole thing was that like our entire relational future depends upon like the relationships that we built with our parents. Like the way that our same-sex parent treated us is how we view ourselves in the future. The way that our opposite sex parent treated us is how we view the opposite sex for our entire lives. And I do think that there's like a ton of validity to that. And
I agree.
Yeah.
My issue is the way the treatment based on Freud is. So I believe that Freud had valid points in his ideology behind psychology and how we frame our own relationships with same sex and opposite sex, and how we view ourselves come from the single parent, or sorry, the nuclear family home. However, that's an issue nowadays. We don't have nuclear families anymore.
Yeah.
So that's a breakup to start. So then now, where do you frame that basis on? And then now they focus more, or at least the therapies that I've seen a lot of times, either ACT or CBT, is usually that, or cognitive behavioral, and I forgot what ACT is. But the framework that they use to treat people usually is based off of that, and more leaning towards boys want to fuck their mother and kill their father, or vice versa, where women want to fuck their father and kill their mother or replace their mother. And so that's usually the framework, or the frame that they use to focus their therapies, instead of actually seeing what the issue is. And Jung focuses too much on the past and the shadow self, and not helping you move forward, but kind of keeping you stuck in your past. Whereas Adler says, yes, you have some fucked up shit in your past. Let's work on how to manage your life now. And as issues come up, we'll deal with them. We'll jump back. Oh, you're doing this because you did something in the past. Something in the past affected you and this causing this. So maybe we should address this now, so that way to help you move forward. So it's more, for my experience with Adler-based therapists, is that they're helping you move forward, become a better you, and as issues come up, deal with them, or give you tools to, hey, maybe you should try to look at this. Maybe you should be introspective on that, and realize that, hey, this has been an issue for a long time, and it's okay to express it this way, that way, or the other.
Okay. And I noticed when you did when you had me on your podcast, you used AI to build a show script. Can you give me a quick synopsis of how you typically utilize AI to generate a full show script for your show?
Yeah. So if I have a guest that has a long body of work, if it could be either Reddit, it could be Instagram. Instagram is harder, but anything that has text that could be transcribed. So what I did was I use a tool, WY-DLP, which is YouTube DLP, a YouTube download script that's Bash or on a terminal app. And I'll download all the transcripts for your podcast. And then I would feed all those transcripts into AI and tell it, hey, I'm going to interview this person. This is the host. Figure out who the host is based on all this. What can you tell me about the host? And it'll spit me out a conversation. Okay, the host is A, B, C, D, E, and G. They're interested in stocks. They talk a lot about this. They have a lot of sports references. They make a lot of these type of jokes, and kind of give me an outline of kind of an idea of who the person is based on all the transcripts. Then I asked it, okay, based on this history and based on what my brand is on my podcast, which I have my own little outline. This is my podcast. This is what I talk about. This is what I like to focus on. How can I mesh these two, and what kind of questions can I ask this guest to, make make the episode more engaging? And so it's been out, yeah, well, based on this and based on you could probably ask him about this, how his relationships deal with that. And like the questions that I asked you, some of them were AI generated, like, hey, ask about this. And then other questions that I asked were kind of follow-ups. Oh, that was a good point. What did you mean about that? What did you mean about the other? Can you explain this? So most of those questions where you hear me say explain or go into deeper detail is me picking up on something you said and wanting you to expand on it a little more. And for the just random questions that I'd asked you were kind of AI generated, except the one about what was it? Well, your controversial takes on men and women. That was just something I kind of carried over that hasn't been published or got deleted in the episodes when I tried to pause my podcast a couple years ago.
Okay. And so and you seem like the word feminism you seem to like tread around it extremely lightly. I'm assuming did the feminist movement ever get your channel banned or demonetized or anything like that?
I never made it to monetization on my channel. The reason I ignore it or try to dance around it is a lot of times for content. So I have a specific YouTube profile that whenever guys ask me, hey, I saw this comment you made
At
on
DNC Glam said, why do you think so many men enjoy watching stepmom or stepbrother stepsister porn?
That's a good question.
I'll answer that in 1 second. So shit, I lost my train of thought. What was I talking about?
We were talking about feminism and the channel.
So I dance around it because, most guys that'll send me stuff or ask me questions about dating, relationships, whatever that I've gotten from Reddit, from Instagram, from other places that they've seen my posts and ask me for advice or just what my personal take is, which is funny. Through that, that's how I found Michael Sartain and the whole thing there. But most other podcasters in the red pill space usually completely avoid saying the F word. And so I figured, if they're not saying it because they're worried about being demonetized or whatever, then I'll avoid, I don't want to cause you not to make money off of this. Hey, we're all podcasters here. We were trying to monetize. We want to do this because we enjoy doing it. And eventually, at least for me, I would like to be able to do this full time where I just come on, have conversations with people and get to share my ideas and have conversations and get to know people as well. And, hopefully bring them a little bit to my side, or maybe they can convince me to go to their side, whatever the case may be. But again, I just don't want to cost you money or take money out of your pocket. So that's why I try to avoid the F word. As far as why do I think the stepmom and all these other things, I think it kind of does fall into the whole Freud thing. And also the way young men are being raised today, more often than not, are single mother households. Or they have a parent that remarries, their father remarries, and the wife is usually hot or younger or whatever the case may be. And so that becomes a fantasy because families get divorced at a rate to where the average age of a child is 11.5. I recall the census study. And so at 11.5, you're starting to hit that puberty age. And so if your parent remarries, the second marriage usually falls between 13 to 15, forget, depending on the average age because of also multiple siblings. So that kind of number gets skewed. So when they get remarried, the boy is, peak puberty erection time for him. And so now he has a woman in this house that's not his mother, that is attracted to his father, and he gets to see her in various stages of undress. Maybe she's comfortable being in bra and panties at home, or whatever women are usually at home with kids, and they don't care. Oh, he's just a kid. He's not interested in me, blah, blah, blah. And now he ends up developing a fantasy, and that kind of falls into that whole Freudian thing, and to where he wants to replace the father, but he can't. So I think that's what takes place with the step family kink or porn. As far as siblings, I don't know. Maybe that's also a byproduct of the merged or mingled household, to where you have a stepbrother and a stepsister, and the stepsister's hot or the stepbrother's hot, but you can't do anything because your parents will probably kill you, or inherently that sibling sex is wrong, but it's still a hot idea. So maybe that's where that comes from.
Yeah, I think with that one, it's kind of just like an access thing. Like, what could be better? It's even better than the girl next door. It's the girl across the hall who you have no familial relation to, who you can just bang. She's an appropriate age, and yeah, you just have sexual access to this new stranger, this young girl who just moves into your house, kind of thing. But I do also think that the porn industry is rooted. It's got a ton of really degenerate themes, and that being one of them. And it's such a pervasive theme is this incest, all this stuff. Also, another big one is we talked about the stepmother and the stepson, but I think an even bigger one is the stepfather, stepdaughter. He's punishing her for whatever, and he chooses to screw her as a form of punishment or something like that, and then she's blackmailing him for the secrecy and discretion, and don't let mom find out, this kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm not a fan of porn. I'm aware it exists. I stumble across it every now and again from ads, from friends sending me random shit. But I couldn't tell you who an actress is other than anyone that made it mainstream, like Tracy Lords or Sasha Grey, and then that's about it. Anyone else, you could tell me a name. Okay, sure. I don't know who she is, but
I know quite a bit about Riley Reid, but
no. Oh, yeah, I've heard about her. Yeah, if you say a name, oh yeah, I've heard that name, but what's her name? Mia Khalifa, because
yeah,
Wiz Khalifa, and it's the whole thing. But random names I come, but I don't know their body of work.
Yeah,
I might recognize them in a picture, but again, it's porn for me is I've done raunchier shit than this. Why would I pay or watch this or download it if I can pull up something on my phone or something that I've got saved on a Google Drive that I had recorded with one of my playmates?
Do you find the whole girlfriend experience thing to be mentally confusing? Because I get to understand it. I guess maybe for somebody who's never had a girlfriend, they might fantasize about how amazing it must be to have some woman care about them and stuff like that. But I guess as a person who has had girlfriends, they're not all they're cracked up to be. And I actually a lot of the times I just truly don't even understand why, when we have this wealth of of free unlimited porn of every single variety, why there are guys on the internet paying their hard-earned money to women, and a lot of the time these women are just average. They're not insanely gorgeous. They're not insanely technically skilled. Why are there so many guys rushing to pay their hard-earned money to independent content creators?
That is a good question. The only thing I can think of is, again, it's like a type of kink or something that's lacking that they can't get on their own, that they have an issue or fear of talking to women, of having a conversation, of putting themselves out there, and not necessarily because of the Me Too movement, just for fear of rejection. Like that's just a natural fear that a lot of people have, and men have to deal with it all the time. Like we get rejected left and right, not just with relationships, not with girls, but also with work, with all kinds of other things. A lot of times women will, well, that's a whole other story. But again, the point is, I think that the reason that the girlfriend experiencing is a thing is because men can't make that connection on their own, that they can't have that conversation. They don't have the skill set to be able to have a woman pay attention to them, let alone be their girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
They can't even get a girl to message them, talk to them, go on a date with them. And so, fuck sex. I need intimacy. I need to be held. I need to feel loved. And I think, and that's with everyone. I think men and women both want that to a certain degree. And I think that the men that can't get it, sure, sex could be an option. Sure, they could go buy a hooker. But even better than that would be that connection, being that even that fake sense of intimacy. I mean, even in Japan, people are so disconnected there that they pay to have people to pretend to be family members, to be, not just boyfriend and girlfriend, but to pretend to be X, Y, and Z. It's a whole industry there that you can be a paid actor to pretend to be someone's friend. Like there's people that just pay you to just sit with them, to ride the subway or ride a bus with them, or just go out to eat with them. You don't have to talk to them. Just go and hang out and listen to them talk.
Okay. And you seem like extremely non-judgmental of a listener. Like I guess maybe that's one of my like biggest defects is I judge. Like, do you think like pay pigs are pathetic or no?
I don't think anyone is pathetic. I think they're just unaware of healthier ways to deal with whatever their issue is. And I think this comes from me having to have that hard realization of being an addict. So like I said earlier, early on, is that I had a total disdain for anybody that had drugs. Like me and my first fiance, we broke up mostly because she lied to me and said that she was cheating. But even if she had told me then that she was, using cocaine, I probably would have broken up with her like right then and there versus the whole thing that I did. And that just comes from a trauma, not even a trauma, just a belief about drugs and medicine in general as I had as a kid. I was always that kid that was taller than all the other ones in my class and grade. I was often mistaken for being 2 or 3 grade levels higher than what I was just because I was the biggest kid in my class. And so having kids and classmates that were smaller than me, that were the same age as me, or actually older, because I was the youngest kid in my class, kids that were same age as me, 10 months older than me, a year and a half older than me, smaller and frailer, and knowing that they took medicine for whatever illness they had, I thought, oh, if you take drugs, you're weak, you're pathetic, you're less than, you're lacking something. So that evolved into having a disdain for drug users, and so then realizing that I was a sex addict, and then shit, I'm no different than a drug addict. I'm just better at hiding it because I don't have track marks, I don't have anything that shows up on my face or skin because of having sex. So realizing that, like, shit, I shouldn't be judging people because of some type of belief. So since 2010, I've been more open, like, you know what? Everybody has issues, everybody has problems, and it's not my place to say, you know what, you're a piece of shit because you can't do X, Y, or Z for yourself. They just don't have the tools to handle whatever they have in their life.
That's a very socially aware position to hold. So I hope that
swallow them for real. Like it was like, fuck, I'm an addict. Fuck, I've spent 30 years of my life believing anyone that was an addict is a piece of shit, and I am a piece of shit. Like that, realizing that you're something that you can't stand. Oh man, that was a lot of work.
Often us humans are turned off most by the defects that we ourselves possess in others. Like I noticed that about myself, and like I think just about every single person can be benefited by like joining one of these like recovery programs, whether it's Narcotics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, Sex Addicts Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, Overeaters Anonymous. Like, I think just about every single person has some type of unhealthy coping mechanism, and like becoming aware of it and knowing healthy alternatives to like thinking and behaving is like very beneficial to people.
Definitely. Like especially with mental health, like we have such a stigma. I mean, it's less now, especially with Gen A and Gen Z, that they're more about mental health. I think they take it too much to an extreme. And then myself as a Gen X and boomers, we see mental health as, oh, you're a fucking faggot, quit being a little bitch. Like, so there's a healthy middle ground of realizing that, hey, mental health is an issue. Mental health is something that is important that we need to deal with. And I push for, if you can't afford it, find yourself a therapist that focuses on Adler methods. Worst case scenario, build yourself a prompt and deal with it with AI. Do it at home if you can do it for cheap. I would pay for AI, one of those $10 or $20 a month, and have a therapist that way. Preferably a human therapist that can take the notes and use what they listen to and get from you in the session, send it into the AI and have them kind of work their way up to, okay, yeah, this is what we need to work on. And worst case scenario, go to something free, go to Celebrate Recovery. Even if you're not Christian, even if you're not Abrahamic God-based, you don't have to be a Christian. You don't have to be a believer in Christ or in God to be able to attend one of these things. You just have to be respectful in a church whenever you go to them. Same way, it's just as respectful as you would be at an SA, because they do believe in a higher power. They just don't call it God. But the focus on all the anonymouses, they will say, in your higher power, and basically the way they word it is alluding to God without saying the G word. And so same difference is just, you're going to hear scripture, you're going to hear some stuff in Celebrate Recovery, but at the same time, I think Celebrate Recovery is a better grounding into where they are definitely more focused on helping the person be a better you, whereas AA or the anonymous it's kind of a crapshoot where you might get a group that really do want to help you, and other people that are just trying to, not disappoint others and live up to an expectation rather than work on themselves.
I usually, the entire theme of my podcast is about faith and spirituality, and I totally forgot to ask you, and we're getting up to that 2-hour mark, so we're gonna wrap up very shortly. What is your higher power, if you have one?
I am my own higher power.
Okay.
I used to be an believer in Abrahamic God. I actually went to college to be a pastor. And the more I learned about the Bible, the more I understood about it, the more I realized that Christianity, the way it's been taught and shown and in different denominations, is basically wrong. Like we're retranslating from a bad translation and not going from the source material. Most Bibles are now translated from the King James Version, which was mistranslated from Latin, which was mistranslated or has bad parts in it from Hebrew, Aramaic, Syrian, Greek, and the fifth language I always forget. And so all those, and I can prove to you right now how wrong the Bible is. Chris, can you tell me what the sixth commandment is? And this is the one about unaliving another person. What is that commandment? Do you know it?
Is it just thou shalt not kill, or?
Yeah, that one, right?
Okay, yeah.
That is wrong. The actual commandment is thou shalt not murder. You can check a Torah. In every Torah, which is always in Hebrew, says thou shalt not murder. And if you, as a general person, and any other person that reads the Bible, reads that wrong, thou shalt not kill, which is again incorrect. The rule is thou shalt not murder. Because if you shall not kill, anything you eat is killed.
Yeah.
You're committing a sin. Plants are alive. So even if you're vegan, you're killing a plant. You're committing a sin. And according to God, every sin is the same. Lying is the same as murder, is the same as disrespecting your parents, is the same as stealing. They're all equal in the eyes of God. So learning that and then more stuff about the Bible just made me realize Christianity, the way it's being taught, the way it's being preached, is wrong. And understanding more about psyche, more about the world, and essentially kind of like in the matrix of the whole belief thing, is that I feel that we are essentially just living our own versions of a World of Warcraft instance, that you and I are sharing this space, but I'm controlling it from my mind and controlling this body. You're controlling your body from your mind. But at the same time, we're just sharing this world experience that's rendered to us the way we're living it. And so I'm in command of my world and my life and my own experience. So I am the master of my own universe. So are you. But you might believe that, or someone else might believe that they have to pray to God to make something happen, which is no different than manifesting. You just say you want something to happen, or you're relying on faith with other people to get something to happen by pleading to a higher power.
And okay, so we're gonna wrap it up. Wait, where's my wrap it up? We're gonna wrap it up. Where's my what the fuck?
Though the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
So I like to leave my guests with some homework assignments, and there are two. One, I'm going to ask you to promote the ever-living fuck out of this episode. So your aunt, your uncle, your nephew, your niece, your cousin, your friend, or whatever, anybody who you are interested in sharing this episode with, I'm going to implore you to do. And if you want, I can send you this file. You could post it on your YouTube channel. We could collaborate, all that stuff. So please promote this. And number two, you've already been a good content creator for me. We've already connected. I'm going to ask you to be a suggester. And if you have any guests that you think would make good guests for my show, please send them my way. And I'm also going to have you keep in mind that 5 foot tall, tan brunettes with perky B cup breasts and brown eyes, especially if they're like
At Godflow 2000 said, "Good show, bro."
Thanks, Aaron. Especially if they're Italian or Mexican descent, they never hurt ratings, those types of women. And thirdly, this is a page that I ripped out of the School of Greatness podcast. So it's called 3 Truths. Now, I want you to imagine that you live a full and complete and robust life, and you live to whatever old, ripe age that you wish to. Maybe it's 100 years old or 115 years old, or maybe you don't want to live into your 90s. Whatever age you wish to live till, you do. And when you die, you go out peacefully, surrounded by like a big loving family, and you feel no pain, and every single endeavor that you ever embarked upon is like completed. Your bucket list is entirely crossed off, and basically like you live the perfect life. But when you die, all of your life's work goes in the grave with you. So every episode of your podcast disappears. Every Reddit post that you ever made, every Facebook post you ever made, every photograph you ever took disappears with you. Except you are able to leave behind 3 relics of your existence. They could be like, I don't know, quotes or like wisdoms that you want to pass down. What would be your 3 truths that you pass down?
My 3 truths. One is going to be, or 2 are going to be quotes from my parents. So for my father is, women are born with a pussy. They don't want another one.
I like that.
My mother, whether you're with her for an hour or the rest of your life, make her feel like she's the only one. And my own personal one is, no matter who you are, you're a human being and you're worthy of love.
Okay, I like those a lot. I'm gonna clip that and make it a short for social media. Do you want to drop your social media so I can put it in the show notes and we can promote your brand a little more?
Yeah, the easiest way to find me would be Sucias, SUCIAS.xyz. That's my website. All my links are there. It's basically set up right now as a link tree, and when my podcast goes live in May, that link will be there too. It's basically the Gallo Chingon podcast, and there I talk about dating, life, and relationship advice with a kink twist, the focus being on having open and honest conversation with your partners, not focusing on being a kinkster.
All right. Yeah, and I'm already subscribed to that podcast. Guys, if you want a compelling YouTube channel, definitely check out what is it called? It's called the Gallo Chingyang.
Yes, I I think it's just Gallo Chingon. Yeah. My name on YouTube at GALLO.CHINGON, and you'll find my channel there. I've got some older clips. It's going to mention Sucias because that was the name of my old podcast before I accidentally deleted it when I meant to put it on pause. But anyways, and that'll be coming live here in May, where I'm going to have a whole bunch of more episodes, crazy shit going on. Not really crazy, just having hot takes with podcasters and having my own takes on life and all other things involved.
All right. Well, yeah, guys, like I said, definitely check out Gallo's channel. It's awesome. Like it takes a lot to like shock me and like keep me engaged because I have like a relatively like high stimulus lifestyle and I've been exposed to like a ton. But I actually do find like stuff on your channel to be very interesting and stuff that I am like not used to hearing. As far as the Good Faith podcast, guys, our next episode is Friday, April 24th. I'm having Dave Wheeler come on, and we're going to talk about, you know, more of this like social game, how to like realize the most out of your potential, how to be like a high value man, which I think is very important. And so, like I said, that is Friday, April 24th at 7 p.m. That's the next scheduled episode that I have. But I'm going to be working on bringing a lot of people on. I went to Vegas. I made a lot of connections. So hopefully I'll be able to include some of those people that I met in Vegas and have them come on. Hopefully other people connect me with other people, and I'll just keep on building this. But anyway, we're going to wrap it up here.
Though the sign is real simple, B. It says wrap it up.
Once again, we want to humbly thank our listeners and pay them ample gratitude for their patronage. Without you guys, we wouldn't be able to have such a high-quality, interactive show. So thank you, thank you, thank you, audience.
So the audience are a bunch of hoes.
I'd like to take this time to remind all of our listeners that we're spreading like a virus. The Good Faith Podcast is now on YouTube, as well as Apple Podcasts, Pandora, Spotify, RSS.com, Amazon Music, Samsung Podcasts, Listen Notes, iHeartRadio, and Patreon. On Patreon, we're working to build additional value for the multiple tiers of donors with special content, Super Chat priority, VIP in-person meetings. We do value your attention, so thank you for quieting your TikTok brain for the last 2 hours. This is a reminder, if you feel you got any value from our show, it takes basically zero effort to like it, subscribe it. It'll move us closer to our goal of having thousands of subscribers, which will bump us up in the algorithm. It'll expose us to more potential listeners. If you guys want to share us with more of your friends and family, we would be absolutely delighted. The quickest way for us to broaden our exposure is for you listeners to each share us with one person. We appreciate it from the bottom of our hearts. If you live in the greater Philadelphia area, you want to come on the show, please reach me in an Instagram DM at Christopher Bulick. The Patreon link's in the description. All proceeds will go towards rent, food, electricity, new computer equipment to improve our general show quality, and my cat Clark's medical expenses.
I ain't trying to screw you. You ain't giving me no money.
To all of our faithful audience, what is it, this one?
So the audience are a bunch of hoes.
We wish you a wonderful weekend, a happy and healthy lifestyle, and to all of you, we bid you goodbye.
Goodbye. And if you need money, sell rocks. I heard that's what they do around here.